Good evening, good evening, good evening, everybody. It is the Lumberjack Landlord here to hang out and talk about some real estate. And yeah, I'm still getting used to this schedule when it comes to doing things on Thursdays or Thursday nights, as it were. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. Things are going great. Super busy. But one of the things I was going to talk to you guys about tonight was kind of what's going on in the market. Seen So I always talk to a lot of different brokers, talk to a lot of people in my market, talk to market people in markets all over the country. What we're still seeing is a lot of the same things. We're still seeing that median minus homes, and if you look up the median home price in your market, not the average, but the median home price, that means the transaction in the middle. If you look at that number in a lot of places is now starting to go down. As you guys know, I have a famous bet with Zoob about hitting minus 10%. I think the issue is that a lot of people think, oh, well, 10%, that's a crazy drop from an all-time high. If it were prices, that's absolutely true. But we're not talking about prices. We're talking about transactions. That's where I believe we're going to continue to see a fall or start to see a fall, significant fall in those median home prices. Because I think the higher end stuff that really depends on the stock market thriving and personal businesses thriving. A lot of people that are multimillionaires through real estate. And so they start to see it turn over. And there's a lot of guys like me in my position where we're taking some chips off the table. We're taking some single family homes that don't really particularly perform well, make us a lot of money. And because of that, a lot of that stuff is median minus. So we're starting to see some supply come into the market. But here's what that supply was met with just this week in my market. In my market just this week, there was a house that went on for $395,000. It went on this last Saturday. It went on this last Saturday at $395,000, and it had 31 offers. 31. Not 3, not 5, not 7, but 31 offers. Think about that. 31 offers. The property ended up trading for I think it ended up trading at either 430 or 440. It was right in that range right there. So about a 10% increase over what asking price was. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I think that what continues. Hi, Tamara. How are you? Tamara and I are buddies in one of the online Facebook groups. I think she's a newer landlord in the last few years. She's got a Section 8 strategy, so want to make sure to include her in some of those conversations, and you guys will see. She'll see exactly how elite this group is, exactly how elite this mastermind is, and how many people chime in here and have good data. But I find it interesting because, as I looked at other properties that were also hitting the market, it's all this median type of stuff. I had a duplex that didn't even make it to market. The duplex didn't even make it to market. I was talking to some friends and somebody goes, "Oh, you're selling that?" I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, I think I want to buy it. I was like, "Oh, okay." I mean, it's nice, no realtor fee, like that's fine. And so I like the no realtor fee thing, but I kind of wanted to see it hit the market. I kind of wanted to see what was going to happen with the market, and if it was something that people were going to go, "Oh, hey, yeah, that's yeah, let me yeah, I'll pay over, I'll ask for that." What's going to be really interesting is to see what it appraises for. I know what it appraised for recently. It appraised for, I want to say it appraised for 4 something. But it appraised for 4 something, and maybe even just over 4. And I think it was like a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. So I think it's worth. I sold it for 425. I think it's an absolute. Quite frankly, I think it's kind of a steal at 425, based on the cash flow. But I was kind of concerned. Hey, is it really gonna appraise out? But again, just through a relationship, just through talking, didn't even make it to market. There's a lot of transactions like that happening. My fourplex that I bought 60 days ago, that never made it to market. there's a lot of transactions occurring that is stuff that's not even making it to market. So one of the things that we always talk about is your network is your net worth. You guys got to be pressing the flesh. You got to be, and that means shaking hands. Don't get dirty. So you guys got to be shaking hands, having conversations, meeting new people, talking to people in message groups in your local area. You guys have to be doing that. You guys got to be talking to realtors at least a couple a week, or at least one a week. Like, guys, this is so easy. It's just so easy. And people blah, 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 say they're doing it and they don't do it. I'm telling you, talk to just one different broker a week that sells multifamily. Look up the multifamilies that sold recently in your neighborhood and give that agent a call. Congratulate them. Say, hey, congratulations. I saw you just put that under contract. That's great. I just wanted to call and introduce myself. Guys, do you realize how many deals I get like that? Because the person goes, this guy is calling me out of the blue, has no idea who I am, and he's calling to congratulate me on a sale of a property I just had. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And so if you do unique things like that, that is a differentiator for you as an investor. And you can say, then you get to do what? You get to give them your buy box. Here's what I'm looking for. Here's what the types of properties I'm looking at. Hey, listen, I know that you can always bring the property right to market, but what if we could do a deal that you didn't have to go through the hassle of the showings and the open houses? Agents love that. They love it. They love having this little group of unique investors that say, hey, I've got 4 or 5 investors that do a decent amount of business with me. They make really easy transactions. Can we at least get them, can I at least run it past them first, get their feelings on it, see if they want to come see it? And if they make an offer, great. And if they don't and you still want to go to market, by all means, go to market. But if you don't want to go to market and you don't want to have to take those steps, then by all means do that too. So I think it's a very unique opportunity to be calling those types of agents in your markets based on things that they've sold. Heaven forbid, giving them a compliment and saying, "Hey, congratulations on getting that deal." I think that's awesome. But I think that that's the start of a relationship. If you just do that once a week, it's going to be a game changer in your business. It's unbelievable. So I think that that's really important. So like I would say, so kind of summing up the week and what I've seen median minus hitting the market. I've seen a lot more deals happening. And I'm seeing, but I'm still seeing strength in that stuff. But to my point, I'm not seeing a lot of strength in the move up buyer. I'm not seeing a lot of strength in the 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and $900,000 homes. I'm not seeing a lot of strength there. I'm seeing a lot of stuff sitting. I really am. And I think that that's going to be, I think my timing might be wrong. I think I might be just short. Not like timing like the idiot crash bros who have missed it for 5 years. I'm talking like I might be a quarter or two off. Maybe, maybe not. But I've started selling some of my assets now because I believe the market's still pretty healthy. And the fact of the matter is the stuff that I'm selling, what am I selling? I'm selling single family homes to owner occs. I'm not selling them to investors. So I'm going to market, except for the one duplex that I was just like, you know what? I think I might want to sell that one, blah, blah, blah. So that's kind of the point. That's kind of the point for the week. I wanted to spend about 10 minutes talking about that. The other couple of things, hold on. What's that? Okay. You want to sit right there while Daddy does the show? Because I'm doing my show right now. That's my daughter. That's Bryn. Do you want to say hi to the camera? You want to just say hi? Yeah, right. Sit down over there. So I think what's really interesting, you get to see Daddy do a show live. Usually you only get to see it on video. But I think what's really interesting is as this market continues to unfold, I think that median minus will continue to move. I think the median plus will continue to sit and be stagnant. I think that if you have a large enough portfolio, even if you have 4, 5, 6 properties, I really think you guys need to be looking at, do I have an asset that it makes sense for me to move on and take time from? Apparently you have the whole gaggle. Here, you want to come over and say hi? Why are you guys not in bed is the question. Mommy's going to be home soon. Hey, you want to come over and say hi? That's Sam. He's my oldest. That's my 6-year-old. And then Bryn's my 5-year-old. Okay, you can go sit right there if you want. Pick a spot. Mom will be home soon and she'll put you back to bed. Teach us how to fly. Yeah. Okay. We'll sit over there on the couch, Mr. Teach Me How to Fly. But anyway, I digress. And this is on natural, as you guys know. And apparently my studio door wasn't locked. But I think that the medium minus will continue to disappear. Our medium plus will continue to disappear. I think those transactions are going to continue to disappear. But you should be evaluating your portfolio. You're asset managers. You're not just property managers. You're not just investors. You are actual asset managers. Look at your assets that you have and say, does it make sense to maybe unlock the 30% of equity that I have in there? Because if you refi, you might get a 70% loan to value cash out. Maybe. You might get 75%. Maybe. But that means you're leaving 25% of the equity sitting there locked into that property. The question is will properties go down over the next couple of years? Maybe, maybe not. But the issue is that equity is untapped. You can't get to that equity. So because you can't get to that equity, the challenge is that that's dead money. You might be able to get there. I just talked to somebody on one of the message boards that took out a 10% loan to get a HELOC. 10%. That is a horrible strategy. Do not do that. Do not over-lever your property. That is a bad idea because essentially that's how guys collapse. That's how they collapse. It's because one property collateralized another property, they collateralized another property, and that sets you up for the domino effect. We don't want the domino effect. What we want is healthy businesses. Now, if there's a particular property where you see that you have another transaction that's in the process, but you need something short term, okay, maybe that's the good idea for you if it's something that's 90 days or less. What? You can hang out there too. That's fine. So again, if you look at it and you have 90 days or less that you're trying to create this other transaction, the challenge that you have is once that transaction is done, then you can pay off the HELOC and you're done with it. Short term, because it's probably pretty easy to tap into that money. But if you're looking at like a longer term strategy and you're trying to create a home equity line of credit, that's something that becomes quite concerning. You can hang out, but you got to sit down. Because you got to pick a spot. As if doing this wasn't hard enough, then you add the dynamic of moving children. It's pretty fun. So that's what I would tell you about that market piece. Now, let's jump into some Section 8 stuff. So I took the time this week. I called all of my Section 8 HAs. I know. Everybody loves to use the message boards. In fact, that's where Tamara, you and I, we bump into each other a lot out there on the message boards. So everybody loves to use those message boards. The problem with using those message boards is it's only as good as the people that are giving you that information. And very likely they are not making the number of phone calls that I'm making. They're not actually reaching out for market data and market research and market information. They are not doing that. And that is something that I pride myself on doing and make sure that I'm doing on the regular. We can still see you. You can sit in that seat over there if you'd like. So the challenge becomes, as you continue to talk to your Section 8 housing authorities, I can tell you that in the last couple of months, that out of the 5 housing authorities that I work with, that 3 of them have shut down their waiting lists. 3 of them have also completely run out of vouchers. They have no more vouchers to give. In fact, the money that they got this year that covers the vouchers that they had, they said they couldn't add more vouchers. Why? Because FMR went up and they needed to cover the cost of those vouchers. They said when people are getting a new place, it's so much more expensive that they don't have nearly the pool of money that they thought they had. So they literally had to put things on hold. So I'm talking to housing authorities that have 3.5, 4-year waiting lists to now get a voucher. On top of now having to get a voucher, now you're talking about the fact that it's a lot more money. So these HAs are now no longer doing new vouchers. So one voucher place one HA that I just talked to, they just did their very first new voucher holder meeting and only had 2 people in it. They just did their first one in over a year and a half. Over a year and a half, they just did their first housing voucher prep meeting. So as we look at this is something that's going to continue to unfold in the market. But again, I'm talking to the HAs. I'm talking to the HCV specialists. And then it goes back to what we talked about last week with the quality of tenant that we're actually seeing in this market. The quality of tenant is largely not very good. it used to be 75% were kind of like, not very good tenants. And then 15% were, pretty good tenants and you'd be pretty happy to have them. And then another 10% was like, oh my gosh, you're the perfect tenant. You're great. So it was like, that was about a quarter of the tenants that you were getting from. Now it's more like 10%. And we're seeing that come through. So it's really important in my eyes that you remain in the process of getting diversified. You want to get diversified because somebody just said to me, they go, well, why do you think all Section 8 is a bad model? I said, I think all Section 8 is a bad model because you have no idea what's going to happen. You don't know if FMR could potentially go down and when it's going to go down. You don't know if they could just stop paying you because there's some change. Like there's been all over the country in some of these HAs where they're now they literally just, I see messages all the time. They just stopped payments. Imagine having an entire market and all of your portfolio was based on that. This is what happens when young children are up after 9 o'clock at night, like they shouldn't be. That's all right. Mom's going to find you, and then you're going to have to go up. But are you going up to see Mom? All right, go up and see Mom there, Sporty Spice. Oh, yeah. Head it up. Head up. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Love you very much. I'll see you in the morning.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I can hear what Ashley's going to say to them now. Why are you out of bed? That's my question too, but I couldn't stop the show to do it. So I think, again, talking to these different HCV specialists, they are shutting down lists. They are not getting any more vouchers. They are having trouble covering the vouchers that they do have. I don't think any strategy doing only one thing throughout everything, I don't think doing that only that one thing, I don't think that's ever the right strategy. Because there are strategies that are great for growth. There are strategies that are great for resilience. There are great for strategies that are good based on good economies. There are strategies that are good for bad economies. If you build your portfolio properly, it's kind of like taking both sides of the deal, right? Everybody sits there and wonders, how Wall Street pretty much guarantees these returns. It's because they're largely taking both sides of the bet. So they cover their downside and they limit to a certain degree their upside. That's how it's done. That's how it's done. You play essentially both sides of it. So I think what you'll typically find is that the best portfolio is a diversified portfolio. Charlie Munger used to say, hey, if you believe that you need to be diversified, then you're probably not doing it right. If you're in 17 different businesses, I totally agree with him. But if you're in one business searching for getting customers from different places, that's where the magic happens. That's where the most important things occur, is that you're getting them from the different parts of the market, and that's going to make you more resilient. That's why we have Section 8 housing. That's why we do some regular affordable housing. That's why we do some market housing. That's why we do some college student housing. That's why we do some retiree housing. That's why we do some municipal workers housing. That's why we do some for the shipyard that's close by to us, which is, for those of you who don't know what a shipyard is, it's basically like a military base, but they're not military. A majority are not military. So these are the things that actually will make your profile and your portfolio the most resistant. Because what happens is, when you look at all of those different things that I went through, the people that are subsidized, the likelihood in which they're going to be laid off, and you go right down the list, I don't have total market exposure. What I have is exposure to specific profile of tenants. And that allows me a level of diversification that no one else really has. And that's what we talk a lot about, is diversifying to that level, recognizing that. And the reason why I learned this was because back in the 07, 08 Great Recession, I had 7 out of my 8 tenants were construction workers. So in August, I had 8 paying tenants. In September, I had 3 paying tenants. In October, I had 1. Yeah. It's because they basically all had gotten laid off. They all lost their jobs within a few weeks of each other, and they didn't have any money. They lived paycheck to paycheck. I just save up money just to evict them. What a nightmare. So, all right, let's jump into the questions real quick. But super welcomes to all you guys. Brett, good to have you here. Good to have you here, sir. There's my buddy Dion. Hey, pal, how you doing? Dion and I are going to do a chat sometime in the next week or two, but there's a new new video game release coming out, and I had like a sports card thing that I wanted to go to. So we were too busy being retired to be less retired. BuzzTune, good to see you. Lars, good to see you. Laura as well. Red Snap, hi there from Rochester, New Hampshire. Neighbors in my lovely state, in our lovely state. Luke Devine, Matt, I can't understand how Ben Malek can 1031 a property and pay back his investor who is giving them money to fix it up. How do you think he pays back his investors? So, Luke, one of the things that Ben actually does, and this is kind of his magic, he has hundreds of millions of dollars invested in the stock market. He borrows against that money to buy some of his assets. That's what he does. So look it up. You can find it online if you dig. It's not as sexy of a story, but that's one of the ways that he buys a lot of his properties is he borrows money against his stock holdings and his financial holdings. He borrows money against that, buys the thing for cash. He's got a very dynamic model, very creative and dynamic model, but because I wondered the same thing for a long time. I was like, I don't really understand where he operates all these hotels and he has a lot of cash flow and blah, 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 but banks are willing to give him all this money. He was actually one of the silly ones who didn't lock in at cheap debt. He was like, I'll take 1% debt. And so he bought everything he possibly could under the sun. That put him in some pretty bad spots. He had to sell a lot of assets. He had to sell a number of assets to be able to afford everything. And he has hundreds of millions of dollars, I believe. He's one of my favorite investors. I watch him a lot. I think he's absolutely hilarious. I just think he's larger than life, and he's a huge man too. So you can 1031 something, you can take equity out against it because you can borrow against a property that you 1031. So specific to that example, I can buy something for $400,000 with a 1031. I can then lever that asset with 75% loan to value debt. And let's say it's $1 million property. I can take $750,000 worth of debt against it. And then I can take that money and then I can pay off my investor. However, if you had a specific deal, I could analyze a specific deal, but a model, it's a little more tough to analyze just because you don't see the inner workings. So the things that I know about Ben, my understanding is that he has a ton of money with some financial firms, I believe like Goldman and companies like that, might be Chase, but he has a ton of money, is my understanding. He has a ton of money with those, and then he borrows against that to buy their additional assets, is my understanding. Tamara, again, good to see you. Robert Farinelli. Hello, Matt. Hi, Robert. Red Snap. Hello from Carolyn and Jim Stewart. Hi, guys. I did see your message. I'm trying to get back to you. I have the two deals that I have under contract. They started to go sideways a little bit. And so we had to do a bunch of stuff on one of them, which was a bunch of unnatural things. I'll explain it to you after we close because I don't talk about deals until they close. I'll explain to you all the unnatural things that occurred in that deal, and it'll be a master class quite frankly, it'll be a master class in negotiation. And I'll show you guys all of that stuff. It's going to be worth its weight in gold. Deconstructing dreams. Hey, Matt, hope you're doing great. I am doing great. Thanks, guys. Scott Coleman, what time do you start, Matt? Apparently 9 p.m. Eastern. I was listening to last week. Now I know. Yes, 9 p.m. Eastern time is when we start. See how bad I am at social media? See how bad I am at YouTubing? I'm horrible at this, but I can get in front of a camera and we can talk about real estate all day long. Scott Coleman, Lumber Jill is ready for her premiere. I know, true story. Yeah, that was Bryn. Yeah, that's my 5-year-old. She's awesome. I'm very interested to see kind of what path she chooses in life. I'm very interested. I'm interested in what all my kids choose, but her and the way her mind works, I see it clicking already. So it's going to be interesting. Hey, Josh, good to see you, friend. Tamara, what do you do in low income neighborhoods? A lot of people buy there because it's cheaper, but getting a cash tenant is almost impossible. They're out there, but they won't pay. That's true. I don't do stuff in Ds. I won't do stuff in D neighborhoods. I won't do stuff in unsafe areas. I won't do stuff where you can literally drive through and you can tell it's the slums. Like, I won't buy stuff in those neighborhoods. There's a reason on paper that they have the level of returns that they do. The problem is that they're the last thing to go up in a market, and they're the first thing to go down in a market. So I don't like it. It creates too wavy. I want a more steady asset. So I don't, admittedly, that's in those markets. That's where you need to be when you're buying those. Those are the Section 8 properties. The challenge that you have is that I wouldn't have only that stuff in my portfolio. The cheap becomes expensive. One of the things that Tamara and I talked about in an online forum was the fact that your roof costs $9,000. My roof costs $9,000. The difference is $9,000 on a $100,000 house is a massive, massive investment. You might not make money for 2 years on that property if you have to do a roof, maybe even 3 years. For me, I have to do that $9,000 roof, but my property's $500,000 or $600,000. So I might need to do a $9,000 roof, but quite frankly, it's not a big deal because my cash flow isn't the percentages. That's what the sexiness is of these lower value properties, is the percentages are largely unmatched. You can find an 11, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14% deal in some of these really, really, really poor areas. The problem that you have is that 15% might literally be $150 or $100. The problem that you have is if your gas water heater goes, you just made no money that year. If your roof goes, bad news, you just made no money for 4 years. That's why for me, do I have some inexpensive, less expensive stuff? Yes. But I like to be not in the expensive stuff. I just like to be in the real market stuff. Right around median price. That's where I like to be, right about median, because I know I can sell it quickly if things go in, get in trouble. Higher end stuff, you can't. Lower end stuff, usually you can't. Usually you can't because you have to have the infrastructure set up or be working with a property manager who's going to then take a bunch of money. And so the predictable income from Section 8 is nice. The problem is what happens when that goes sideways? What happens when I literally took somebody in Section 8 and 30 days later they lost their voucher? They didn't qualify for that unit, not even close. They ran up a bill on me for $17,000. Am I ever going to see that money again? Probably not. So that's where I believe diversification in your portfolio is key. Zoob's diversified. He owns a bunch of single families, but he has, 4 times the number of units in apartment buildings than he does in single families. But single families are a great asset because you can move in and out of them. The problem is, again, if you're doing it in a really bad area, bad areas are the first ones to go bad when the economy turns, and they're the last ones to start to appreciate because people trade down into them and they say, you know what, I can't afford something nice, so I'm going to buy something not nice because it's still going to give me an 11 through 14% return. The downside is the calculated margin and returns are nice, but because it's not a real significant number, one decent size repair, water heater, roof, even a refrigerator, $1,000 refrigerator, that can knock out your profit for the year. That's how big that is. And that's how quickly you can get affected. That's why, I talk to some guys and they're like, oh, I own 600 units. Yeah, but they're all shit. Like they're all garbage. They're all like, $50,000, $60,000 properties. And so when you own that many doors, you've kind of got a problem unless you at least have a better position than the next person because you have a roofing company that does roofs for you for $6,000, not $9,000. And you're basically running a housing mutual fund at that point because there's going to be ebbs and flows to that market. That's typically what you're going to be running. So yeah, that's why I don't like D neighborhoods is because that's the first asset to go down. It's the last asset to go up. And for for just like a flat market, it's a tough trade. They stay flat the longest. And then just the maintenance side of it, I want to maintain and have a good quality unit. And with Section 8 breathing down your neck, they might say, oh, well, you need to replace this and repair this and do this. It's like, yeah, that's nice, but that's $500. So it doesn't take out your entire year of profit, but it takes out 4 months of profit or 5 months of profit. Then maybe you have a heavy winter and you pay for a bunch of plowing. Then maybe you have a really wet summer and you're paying for a ton of mowing and it needs to happen that much more. These are where all the little variables can get you. That's where they can get you. Summertime Santa. Glad the new time is working out well. I'm glad it's working out well for you guys too. I'm super excited that you guys are here. Please send this out to more of your friends. Have them come in and participate. We like to have groups with good questions. Let's see. So I screwed up again. Big surprise. I was supposed to sign a lease today and tenant backed out at the last minute. We agreed to a lease signing Sunday. How bad was it to wait? Time is of the essence. Time is of the essence. I've had the same thing happen to me too. I've had the same exact thing happen to me. It is so critical. Here's what I recommend doing. This is a mistake that a lot of smaller landlords make. They don't want the expense of other systems. DocuSign, I believe, allows you to have four a month. I want to say it's 4 a month for free. Is it 4 a month? Might be 4 a month for free, or it might be 4 a month for like $10 a month or something like that. You must get an online product that allows you to send a lease immediately and get them to sign. Guys, I don't have that happen anymore because here's exactly the process. Oh, hey, we love the place. Great, you're fully qualified. Would you like it? Yes, we want to take it. Absolutely. Okay, this is great. I'm going to go home. I'm going to send you the lease. All the information's in there. And you can make a template where you only have to update just their name in the different fields. All the numbers, all that stuff, that can be templatized. And I sent it to him and I say, here's the thing. I did have other showings, fear of missing out, creating the urgency. I did have other, and don't lie, but I did factually have other people that viewed the unit. They viewed the unit. They loved the unit. I said, the only fair way to do this is case by case scenario, first come, first serve. Has to be that. So I've already qualified them. I already know that they're a fit. That's why they got the showing. That's why I have my pre-qualification stuff before I even give them a showing. They filled out the application and I said, they'd already filled out the application. That was already done. So I said, here's what we do. I will send you the lease. You guys can sign it, whatever, but I'm sending it to other people as well. So it's first come, first serve. And it's a combination of the first one to sign the lease and pay the deposit. You don't have to pay the first month's rent right away because I know that that's a lot of money to have the deposit and first month's rent at the same time, but I will do it. You can sign the lease and then you can have, and then you just pay the deposit, and you can pay the deposit via Venmo, via PayPal, whatever. I created urgency. I get leases signed within a few hours of them seeing the place. Then they don't have the opportunity to come down off of a high that they might have felt. And if they decide that they need to back out last minute, no, now it's going to cost them their deposit because it just cost me a bunch of time and a month's worth of rent. So now it's going to cost them, because if they decide, you know what, we just decided we're not going to move in. Okay, that's fine. Just understand I'm going to keep your deposit because I put it on hold for you and I took it off of the market based on your deposit. So even if you give me 30 days notice right now, it doesn't matter. You signed the lease and the lease is binding. I could go after you for more money, but quite frankly, I know I can get it rented in the next month. So you're just going to lose the deposit that you put in on the place. That's how that never happens to me. That's the position that I try and put myself in, that ensures that I'm never going to be holding a unit like that, because that hurts. It hurts. But do it online. Have an online, like a DocuSign. Get their cheapest plan. Like I said, I think there's a free version where it lets you do like 2 or 4 a month or something like that. But absolutely get that, and that's what I would encourage you to do. Elizabeth R. Hey, do you know any good software to draw plans for a remodel flip? Not really. Not really. You can find stuff online. You can find some cheap stuff online. CAD is what most people use, but that you can take CAD classes. But yeah, not really. Your best thing is to get lined paper. You can get the lined paper and you just take the measurements out and you say each one of these blocks is a foot, and then you just draw it out on paper, and then you can actually, get that printed off and get copies of that made at like Staples and things like that. So that gives you the most accurate thing. That way it doesn't necessarily have to be digital, but you can make it digital, if that makes sense. You can also do that in an Excel spreadsheet. You can basically use borders. So I've done that. I've used borders in an Excel spreadsheet, and Excel everybody has on their computer for the most part. So that's what I would use, Elizabeth. Let me know if that's helpful to you. Robert Fernelli, what is cause is the other tenants who passed the criteria and are now interested in moving in September 1st because they already paid their landlord. So I just lost August rent. Yep. Yeah, I've seen it happen. So now, then what should I have done differently? Need a PhD lecture on what to do after you decide. Get it? Yep. Yeah, so that's where you got to get them signed. You got to get them to see the lease terms and the lease dates, because if they say, "Oh, now we're going to give our landlord 30 days notice," well, you're not going to double pay. Do you really love the tenant that much? Can you not find a tenant to take? That's why getting people that's why for me, we don't wait until 30 days before the renewal. We do it 60 days before the renewal, because we want that 30 days beforehand to know. We say, hey, listen, you don't have to make the decision today, but if you give us, if you take a week, let us know what your thoughts are. And if at the end of the week they haven't let us know, we just reach out to them again and say, hey, it's that time. We just need to understand you guys are going to renew and stay. Some people say yes. Some people say no. Most people say yes. But if the ones that say no, we say, okay, great. We're going to start doing showings this week at the place. We'll certainly set that up with you, but expect that next Saturday, there's going to be an open house. And so we're going to come over, just take some pictures. So if you can clean up a little bit. A lot of times we'll even have the pictures on file, so we don't even have to worry about that stuff, because we'll take, like you were talking about, Robert, last week, we take a good set of pictures that we have on file that we can always crank out there when we find out that we need to put that unit to market to market. I had it right the first time. Easy for me to say. But the other piece that you have to consider is that now that you're within 60 days, not 30, now you have time over the next 3 weeks where you can actually say to the incoming tenant, hey, listen, and you get them signed. They sign because they know, as an example, this is all happening in April, because May 1st, they know they need to give that notice or their lease is up. And they know that they need to do that. That's one of the really critical things that a lot of people don't talk about is, oh, are you under lease? Are you month to month? Do you have to give notice, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of times the people that win our places, we see a number of wins with people where they're just like, yeah, month to month, they have to give 30 days notice. But the thing we see really often is, no, I'm staying with some friends, or I'm staying with we're still with our family. We moved back home. We're now moving back out. That's a lot of the stuff that I see that actually happens. Robert says, finally, at this point, should I remove all the listings for a week and have a cool down period? Then let's say August 6th, relist on Tuesday night, and get them all in for 10th and 11th. So it's a fresh listing. You certainly can do that. Yep, you certainly can do that for sure. Yep, you certainly can. It does give that fresh look, but now the challenge is that time, right? That timing. That's what makes that one a little bit challenging. Josh Burdick, I can relate to what you said about the quantity of good tenants. I had to wait longer for a good qualified applicant. Absolutely. And Josh, credit to you for staying patient there. There's nothing worse than getting somebody in there to try and get them in there quickly, and that almost always ends up with a problem. Scott Coleman asked, what size properties are you looking to buy? Anything that's a great deal, but is it at a 2, 3, or 4 plex or commercial? So I'll buy anything that's a great deal. Single, double, tri, quad, commercial, mixed use, 12 unit. I'll buy anything that's a great deal. And when I say great deal, like a holy cow deal, like a Phil Rizzuto, holy cow. So I would buy anything that's a great deal, but my focus still remains 2s, 3s, and 4s. Yeah. Not commercial, just 2s, 3s, and 4s. Flavio Macias, good afternoon from Washington. Good to see you, Flavio. Trade Better, evening Lumberjack. What are your thoughts on crawl space encapsulations? Would you say that they're worth the costs? So when you say crawl space encapsulations, are you talking about when they basically go in and they essentially like plastic everything floor to ceiling and walls, and so everything's like closed and encapsulated like that? Or give me more detail. I want to make sure we're talking about the same thing. Lars Nielsen, Scott, 2 to 4 is residential. Yes, 2 to 4 is residential. But then larger, but there can also be 2 to 4 units that is commercial if you have mixed use or commercial on the first floor and resi on the second or third. Jason Santoro, bro, your course is awesome. Still trucking through it. Love that. Good for you, Jason. So, Jason, tell me if you, I won't use the person's name, but tell me if you mind if I just share your story a little bit, just about your experience course-wise. If you mind, I won't share it. If you're cool with it, I'd love to just talk about it a little bit. Key, hey, Matt. Cooking spaghetti for the kids while listening. Great to hear your voice. Key, good to hear yours, or good to see your typing as well. I'm so glad. I was so bummed last week when you showed up right when we were closing out. I was like, my buddy Key. Anyway, really good to have you here. AZ Joe, thanks for all the great lessons, advice. Love your content. Thanks, AZ Joe. I really appreciate that. I try and give you guys my best. I just share with you exactly what I'm doing. And guys, no disrespect to any other investors. You know, I got good buddies, my buddy Zoom, my buddy Dion, my buddy Mike, even though Mike, you're a dick. Like, we don't spend any more time together. Miss your smell, miss the sound of your voice. Somebody can clip that and send that to Millennium Mike. But I did just actually tell him that in chat, so it's okay. I have very unique experiences every single day. This is now my full-time job. Every single day I'm doing property, especially with we have 4 houses that we had to get ready for sale. We have a $1 million project in the jail. We have a $250,000 project in a 5-unit. And then on top of that, we're rolling units. We're rolling tenants that we gave them price increases that we didn't want them to stay because, quite frankly, they were difficult tenants. But we had to at least get them to market. And a few of those decided that they're going to leave and a bunch of other people paid. But those few people that decided to leave, now we're rolling and we're turning those units. So we're doing flooring, we're doing painting, we're doing trim out. A couple of them we're doing kitchens. So we are absolutely maxed right now. I mean, my chest starts to contract just with how freaking busy we are. So I'm there every single day. I'm running a company that manages 145 units. They just happen to be all mine. Buzztune, I wish we would have covered market cycles in boot camp. Seeing it change now is so interesting for a beginner like me. Oh yeah, it's a great idea. We can absolutely cover that more in boot camps. You know what we can do? We can actually just cover that. We can cover that in I'm just trying to get through the next few weeks with these projects, or actually with the sales of the properties. That's going to take a lot of my load off my shoulders. Once that happens, we're going to start doing monthly events in that are available to course members and the boot campers, but both. We're going to start doing monthly events there. That way we can speak at our leisure. We can say whatever we want. So we're going to start doing that. So that will be available, but only if you're actually in the course. Thank you for the super sticker, Buzztune. Always appreciate it, my friend. Angel R, do you ask for their social number for lease signing? I don't. I ask for their license. I can track them down better through their license than I can through their social, believe it or not. And their cell. The times have changed. I have a PI that I rent to. Imagine why I did that. I decided to rent to a PI. Why? Because now I have a PI that I can literally just call. Hey, how's it going, Frank? Yeah. Yep. Uh-huh. Yep. Cool. Yep. Sure. A couple hours is fine. And then I get the information I need in a couple hours. Because he's a PI. Robert Finelli, I have a door loop, but at the moment I wanted to sign in person. Yep, because I was afraid. So not door loop. So I'm not doing the leases in door loop. This is DocuSign. Door loop does have that function and capability. However, I still use DocuSign because DocuSign, everybody knows what it is. Almost everybody's heard of it. And that's where you get some free stuff. So you don't have to do it in door loop. You can still do it in DocuSign. And then paying them signing and not paying first months. Yeah. So yes, you can absolutely do that. You can say due upon signature, void if not paid within 24 hours. You can do something like that. I forget what the language was that I would talk to your attorney about it that you have on retainer. Just ask them and just say, I have one quick question, but I'm pretty sure you can do it based on that. Jason Garcia, when obtaining a portfolio loan, do you keep all the individual risks and traits, or Jason Garcia, fantastic question. You're getting highlighted, my dude. Jason Garcia, when obtaining a portfolio loan, do you keep all the individual interest rates, or is it a consolidation into a new interest rate with one lender? It is when I say portfolio loan, what we did was I took multiple properties. I took 9 I did it 3 times, but the one that I'm doing now, 9 properties are in that portfolio loan. They all are on the same portfolio, one portfolio. And it is one interest rate, which is 4%, is what I have on that 9 property portfolio. So I refinanced into a portfolio loan from 9 separate mortgages, 9 separate properties, 9 different interest rates. That's what I did. So I went from 9 separate mortgages, 9 separate interest rates to rolling it into the portfolio. Here's the only downside of the portfolio as far as I can tell. Now that I want to sell some of the assets in that portfolio, they have to recast the debt on the assets on the houses that are still in there. So I have to get every single one of those things appraised. That appraisal is probably going to cost me 700 per times. I think I only have to do the ones that I'm keeping, not selling. So I want to say that's going to cost me about maybe $5,000. It's going to cost me maybe $5,000 to get that appraisal done. However, I am happy to tell you that I will likely be able to report within the next couple of weeks that I was able to get 2 or 3 free houses. That's what I'm hoping to be able to tell you in the coming weeks. But that is a fantastic question, Jason. Well done. Robert Farinelli. Here we go. Robert Farinelli. Wait, you do showings when the unit is not ready. I thought you never showed the unit unless it was ready because tenants have bad imagination. So construction, yes. I will show a unit that's got other tenants living in it. Yes. Yeah. So I won't show it if it's construction zone. I will show it if it's just a matter of another tenant living there. Yeah, for sure. Boomer, do you recommend professional pictures? I do. My realtor did that for one of my fourplexes. I sold and it's one sold and it sold the first day. Yes, I absolutely recommend professional pictures. You can very often go onto Zillow, look at the pictures that you really like. You can usually tell the difference between some agent that took them and professional. If you start rolling through them and you're like, wow, I really like that picture setup. That's really awesome. Usually there's a name of who took the picture somewhere in the ad there. Like they have to give them credit. Or you can always call that agent and say, hi, I was viewing this listing. This is absolutely fantastic. Kind of a weird call. Would you mind if I was able to, would you give me your information for your photographer? Yep. All the time. The other thing that you can do too is on your Facebook page, or something like that. You can post, you can say, looking for a photographer to take professional pictures of my rental units, must show me previous examples of previous work. That way you can see the stuff, right? So my guy, I want to say my guy is like $250, $250, right around there. But I get a beautiful set of pictures. And once we've taken those pictures of that unit, I'm kind of done. I got what I need. So yeah, I always recommend professional pictures now. Yep. Nino, would a bank be more willing to loan to someone if they have a business plan to pay the loan and what you would do with the property in the next couple of years? No. Banks do not lend on real estate very often when it comes to if that's your business. So if it's because if it's a business, if it's a property that houses your business, yes. If it's just another property and that is your business, then no, it's just a mortgage and no SBA loans. None of that stuff it really qualifies or is allowed for that stuff. Great question though. Robert Fairley, great that is also happening when I just blew through the entire emergency fund for a car, furnace, and meter socket. What happened to the first 5 years of the worst, and the worst is now? You sped up. You wanted to do more, get more. You sped up. Slow is smooth and smooth is fast. You'll get through it. It's really tight right now. But when you stop rehabbing, right? When you have the units rented, you're going to see a mountain of cash that you've never seen before because you've been renovating and searching and repairing and you've been doing all of this stuff. It's going to be a totally different world in 6 months when all that stuff is done and now they're all rented and you're like, holy cow, this is really big. So yeah, trade better. Sure thing. Yes. I am looking at the whole plastic wrap with Vaporberry. Yeah, sure. Okay. So for me, what we usually do in our basements or our crawl spaces is we will put down 3 mil plastic on the ground, or we'll put and then we'll put stone down on top of that. We will have if you don't have insulation in your floor, then we will also insulate the floor. But what we'll typically do is we'll do closed cell foam spray in the rim joists, which is the rim of the house underneath it. We'll spray foam in there because then there's no pass through of air. And then we'll put in like a Roxel or something like that on top on basically on the ceiling of the ceiling of the crawl space, and then we'll put plastic up there. So you can do that with handymen. It does not require a company to come in and do that. You can get their number, but largely speaking, it's something that's absolutely very doable for just regular old Joe to do. You got to roll out the plastic on the floor, and then you find a way to kind of pin it into the floor. And then you have to find a way to basically get the stone in the basement. And that can be a lot of different ways. Usually it's through like one of those basement windows where you can just open up the window and just put the chute in there. And then you can basically just, toss some buckets, bunch of buckets in each window, and then you can get in the basement. You can then spread it out. I've done all that. It's like laying like this and then like moving around like this. Yeah, that was not the best day or a couple days. Jason Santoro says, please share the story. Okay, so let's share the story. Sorry, I just clapped right in your ears. My bad. So basically the story was, so Jason had watched my content for quite a while. He had bought somebody else's course that was significantly more expensive. And basically the other course, he had taken parts and pieces of it, wasn't particularly good. And you can correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't a particularly good course. But then on top of that, the guy was just basically like, or the company was basically like, yeah, sorry, you didn't do everything that you needed to do in the time you needed to do it. And now you're past your deadline. Your access has been shut off. And this was a really expensive course. I hate hearing stories like that. Like, have a level of flexibility. Like, don't be ridiculous. Don't be a hard ass. And so we had talked about it, and he'd reached out, with a problem. And we both can't stand this investor. This investor is just a garbage investor, in my opinion. I think he's a complete, total piece of garbage as a person. And I don't understand how the guy possibly stays in business. Again, just my opinion. Won't share his name, even though I kind of would like to share his name to warn you from him. But it's such a narrow strategy that it's such a thirsty strategy. It's just lame. It's just lame. And there's not a lot in there for content, and how you guys got to be careful on buying courses that are only about how you buy a certain way or how you buy a certain asset. You got to be careful with that. You got to be careful. You need somebody that full depth and breadth of experience, because there's plenty of people out there that are like, yeah, buy this way, buy this way, buy this way. And then guess what? That only works in an up economy or only works in a down economy. And now you can't buy deals anymore. And you spend all this time, effort, and energy only learning one skill. Buy from somebody that buys multiple different ways. I buy from wholesalers. I buy from retailers. I buy off market. I buy from owners, property owners. I buy from estates. I buy through bankruptcy attorneys. I buy through auction. I buy from foreclosure. I don't know if there's any other way to buy out there that I haven't bought or haven't purchased. That's one of the things that I would caution you with, is you want to make sure that you're investing in something and somebody that actually does it a bunch of different ways, because that's always going to allow you to get deal flow. It's always going to give you deal flow. If you're only looking to buy a certain way and that doesn't fit the current market, like somebody was like, oh yeah, I'm going to burr this. Don't burr anything. Don't burr. Burr is an old strategy. It doesn't work anymore. It gives you so much risk to the upside. It's scary. Upside of rates. You don't know that rates aren't going to go to 10. You don't have any idea. And if you're burring, what happens if that happens? Thankfully, that when that happened to Millennial Mike, he would have got, except he did it in a time where, yeah, the rate went from like 4 to 8 or something like that, or 3.5 to 7. It exploded on him, but the value of the property was worth so much more because he bought it right. If he hadn't done such a good job buying the right asset at the right time, he could have gotten crushed, but he didn't. So that's that story. So, reach out to Jason on social media, have him tell you what that experience was. Because yeah, I want, guys, my course could be 10 times the price and I would still sell it. I would, but I want to make it affordable. I have to make it affordable because I want other people getting in the boat. However, I'm not going to make it cheap. No, It's inexpensive for what the value is, but I'm not chasing down $100 at a time. We will have specific things that are skill sets around landlording. We've got the lead course that will be available to you guys that are in the course. You guys are going to get that for free if you're in the course. And you know, with all the subscriptions and things like that we'll be allowing people to do. But that course is something very specific in how to handle a lead order. And I can promise you, I'd have paid thousands of dollars to know how to handle a lead order when it happened to me. I'd have paid thousands of dollars for that to happen. We want people to take it preemptively so it doesn't happen to them. That's why we want you to take it preemptively. So anyway, that's my thought on that. CJ, sorry I'm late. I was having the best day being a degenerate and buying a boat. Bust out another 1,000, CJ. Next day will be the day I post it on Marketplace. Exactly. CJ, monthly events for course members, sign me up. Yeah, we're going to do them. You're going to see a poll in the Mighty Network. You're going to see a poll where I'm going to give you 4 ideas and then you tell me what you want me to talk about that day. And that's going to be only for family. That's only going to be for Lumberjack Landlord fam that's in the course, because we want to speak freely. And there's some places that we can't do that. Crazy. Lars Nielsen, Matt, were you able to see my review in your email? Yes, I saw your review, and I have everything over to the editor and saying, hey, how can we work with, how can we use what we have here? So yes, amazing review, Lars. Thank you so much. I'm always humbled when we spend that amount of time together. When we're in boot camp, we spent in that boot camp, we spent over 30 hours together in that boot camp. 30 hours. I know you guys pretty well. You know you even better too. I won't pull back on anything. I tell you everything. But that 30 hours was amazing. And I know so many of you so much better. I really appreciate it. It was great. Red Snap, how do the course students access those upcoming events? You'll see an event in there. So just like you would access a boot camp, we'll give everybody access to that course event. So you will see it in the Mighty Network, that you'll be able to just click on it. You can put it on your calendar, the whole 9 yards. The goal with that is going to be, those are going to be like 1 hour heavy duty, 1 hour tech talk type of things. Yeah. No extra cost. It's going to be part of the course. We will have subscription renewals for everything that's accessible. Because we're going to start to put more and more stuff in there. We're literally building out the schedule now for all that stuff. Because once my kids are back in school, and 3 of my 4 will be in school in September, I will have time during the days. Right now, I have no time between projects and this. So yeah. Let's see. For those using Stessa, you get like 7 times free DocuSign documents per month with Stessa Pro, just FYI. Oh, that's great. That's putting that in there, CJ. That's awesome. Elizabeth R., what do you think about buying a home from a lien auction with 1 year redemption, but using a HELOC to buy them? That is a personal question of how you feel about that level of risk. So for me, I want to know, I'm always looking at what's my exit and do I have multiple exits? Because if I only have 1 exit, that makes me really concerned. 2 exits I can maybe live with, but probably not. But there better be pretty massive return there. And I need usually 3 exits. What are my 3 exits that I don't lose money on if I need to find a way out of that deal? Boomer 1964. I just checked that Lamborghini is still for sale here in Pueblo. Thank you very much for sending that to me, by the way. I'm looking for this. That's a Gallardo. I'm looking for a Huracan or an Aventador. I want the next level up, because really that Gallardo, I don't want to offend people that might drive a Gallardo, but it's really just an Audi. Jason Garcia, thanks for the explanation. You're very welcome. Another question. Do you have any tips to improve the loan structure on my HELOC? These high interest only payments on 210K suck. I guess I just wait for rates to drop. Could be waiting a while, my friend. You could be waiting a while. I would be shopping now, trying to find a way to get out of it. But so Jason, not to use you as an example, but the situation that you're in really is the example, which is massive HELOC payments that are being paid. Hopefully you're making enough money on the property that you used it to buy it, or to get the HELOC. Hopefully you're making enough money on the property that you used the HELOC to buy. And that's the thing, is I've seen it bleed people to death. That's what I've seen, because that's always a variable rate interest. Sometimes it's you can get it fixed for a short period of time or a period of time. But then once it goes interest or then restarts recalculating based on current market rates, I had a HELOC that I had it where the payment was $393 a month. At its worst, it was $1,300. Yeah, at its worst, it was $1,300. It was bleeding me dry. It was absolutely bleeding me dry. Because that building that I bought it with didn't even make enough money to pay that. So I was money out of pocket every single month. And I thought I was going to be shorter term, but it didn't. Keith Hager. Hey, Keith. Elizabeth R. I have bought 3 lien homes and your closing agent or realtor can explain the ins and outs. Excellent. That's great, Keith. Lars. So the perspective that I would give for that is it's much more, they can explain the ins and outs. The thing that you have to really get right with is here and here is, do I feel okay? Or am I going to be like up, sleep well at night model? Am I going to be up all night because I'm like, I really feel like I have risk in this deal. Yeah. Lars, Jason, I would find extra income. Yep. And pay it down as quickly as possible. I agree. Guys, I told you at the very beginning of the year, you can look at my videos in January. I told you when people were saying seven rate cuts, I said there might be 2. I'm looking pretty good at this point. I think it might be 2, but I've got bad news. It's going to be exactly what I said too. There might be 1 or 2 rate cuts, but when those rate cuts happen, it's going to be because the market's in rough shape. That's going to be what happens. That's the thing that's going to be scary. Let's see. Lars Boomer. Yes. Boomer 64. Landscape fabric stakes work for those Visqueen. Yes, they do. They're perfect. Yep, that's exactly right. Thanks, Don. Trade better. Excellent. Thank you for your help. You're welcome. Love your shirt. Go Pats. Thanks. Champions. That's just what we do here. That's what we did in New England for 20 years. And now we're going to pay for it. We're going to suck for quite a while. It's kind of awful. Peter M. I bet it's Meet Kevin. I will tell you it's not Meet Kevin. I will tell you it's not him. It's a much, much, much smaller investor, trainer, tool bag. Dion, congrats, Michelle, on your $300 binder strategy. Good for you, Michelle. Where did she put that? Did she put that somewhere in here and I missed it? Dion, did you forget what stream you're in? Congratulations, Michelle, on a $300 binder strategy. I love that. Lars, Peter, it wouldn't surprise me. I know, right? Awesome news, Michelle. I agree. Robert Farinelli, 3 duplexes in 5 years is not fast. That is slow. It's not slow. It's not slow. That's not slow. In the first 5 years, usually you can get, a couple of properties. You're 50% more than that. That's a lot. That's a lot. And you're buying in an expensive area. That's a lot. Give yourself more credit. Yes. But what did I also say? That was owner awking each one of them. That was owner awking each one. So that wasn't just buying another duplex. It was owner occupied each unit. That's what it was. So you can do 4plexes in the first 5, but you're going to have to move into them because I needed that 3.5% down money. I needed the ability to live there on location to do the work, right? That's how I kept my costs down. Or to at least keep an eye on handymen and contractors when they came in to do work. Yeah, I was there for about 6 hours yesterday. No, you weren't. Saw you walk in at 5:30 and I saw you leave at 8:30. That's 3. But that's just my math. Oh, she did the Matt Lumberjack way through email. Good for her. That is great news. I'm so happy for you, Michelle. And Dion, thanks for calling that out. But it is the binder strategy, and it's just done through email. So Dion used to literally call the binder strategy because he would show up with the binder and then walk them through the different, hey, here's what stuff is going for in the area. This was this one, and this is this one, and hey, would love to have you stay, but understand if you can't, but you guys let me know what the right number is. So he used to do it with a physical binder. We do it all through text message or email, all of it. That's the only way we do the binder method. We never do it in person. Because what we found, believe it or not, when we started doing it years ago, what we found was people felt really uncomfortable. People felt really uncomfortable. So the binder method is phenomenal. Read your room for sure. There's a lot of people that will get offended. It's really funny. It's kind of both sides. Some will get offended that you didn't do it in person, and others will get offended that you did it in person. So it's kind of like you got to read the room and kind of figure out what's going to work. But great strategy. Love it. Robert Fairley, hype for that lead course, lead course. Yeah. Too bad Nick stole some of your thunder with that RRP course. Yeah, I mean, that's okay. So Nick is he teaches the lead remediation course in our state. He's one of the guys that teaches it. And so a lot of times they will, he knows what's going on, but Robert, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to bring that, $300 or $400 a day course. I'm trying to bring that into a much less expensive option where you at least understand what's happening, what's going on. Because he understands one side of it very well, doesn't understand the business side of it as well. And that becomes a challenge. Jason Santoro. I can say the POS name so none of your followers get caught. Do it on your own time. If anyone has questions, I hope they reach out. I learned more in your class in the first module than I did in half his course. That's always great. I really appreciate that. Clinton Roberts, since you guys have retired, it's hard for us regular workies to keep up with your Dion and Zoob's YouTube lives. Totally understood. That's why I only do the one live a week. I blame the other guys. Mike goes live, like 10 times a week? And Dion goes live, I know, at least 3 or 4 times a week. I only go live once, just one time. Because I love you guys. That's it. And I don't want you to have to listen and deal with this more than 90 minutes a week. But Clinton, I totally agree. Elizabeth R., thank you. You're welcome, Elizabeth. Cash flow is freeing. Howdy. I love the name. Cash flow is freeing. Love that. Michelle Meyer, I am here as you mentioned. As you mentioned my name. I love that you did that. Congratulations on that. I love that. Financial firefighter, aloha from Hawaii. Hello. Michelle Meyer, tell me that is not a mind controlling power of yours. I mean, maybe. We try not to let that get out, Michelle. If I did have that mind controlling power, I think a lot more people would listen to me and just take my silly course and recognize it's going to save them tens of thousands of dollars. There's just no two ways around it. It pays for itself. In most cases, it pays for itself in 90 days. And that's what I love. I want you guys to see that and feel that and get that reaction. Be like, he shot me straight. He said it was going to be worth it. He said I'd see a return, and I did. And that's what I want. There's some of those guys out there that do these like money back guarantees. That just irks me. I hate that. I hate that stuff. Money back guarantee. Okay. Thanks, Dion. Maybe it's Dion that has a mind control. It probably is. I think that's a safer bet. I think it's Dion. Michelle, thanks for the super chat or super sticker or super chat. You guys are very welcome. Truly my pleasure. Wandering Doc, what's going on? Wandering Doc, he's traveling the world, living me vida loca, or he's vida loca. Robert Fairley, which is only why he only stole some of your thunder. Yeah, main reason for that was so I can do the work myself. That's exactly right. Not rely on the guys who ripped you off. It's exactly right. What Robert's talking about is in the world when you get a lead order, or before, hopefully you don't get a lead order, but you have something where you may believe that lead exists. The RRP class is a one-day class that basically teaches you here's what the state guidelines are for removing potential lead paint. Here's the process. Here's the rules. Here's the disposal rules. Here's how you need to do it. And I can tell you, doing it proactively is far less expensive than doing it reactively. The people that did my project, all in, my project was about $83,000. $83,000. That same project I can do for about 15. So it had a multiple on it of about 6. It was really bad. Maybe 5, but probably closer to 6. So yeah, that's really important. Master Coach University got a brand new dishwasher, but ran without water supply. Now it doesn't finish the cycle. Wondering if we damaged it. If so, might it make sense to attempt a repair? I don't think that. I would call the store. I would call under warranty. You don't have an extended warranty, but you have a warranty. I would call in with a warranty and say, hey, it just won't finish the cycle. It could be a setting, it could be a tweak, it could be like a thermostat on a car. Your engine can blow up, but a thermostat's $9. So I would do a warranty claim, because I don't know that caused the issue. I don't know that caused the issue. So I wouldn't feel like, yeah, I broke it. But still, why is that equipment so sensitive that doing something like that one time would break it? I would call in I would call in a warranty. I would call in a warranty. That's what I would do for sure. Yep. That's what I would do. I would call in the warranty piece. Give me just one second. So funny. Yeah, if you guys ever want to see how the other side views us as landlords that speak the truth, just go look at the comments in my section. It's brutal. It's brutal. I mean, it doesn't bother me, but it bothers a lot of other people. But if you're going to do a YouTube channel, you need to get thick skin and know that it's going to happen. Nothing anybody's ever said there is maybe go, you know what? That's some real perspective right there. No. Why? Why? Because they really enjoy the couch in their mom's basement. My couch behind me is nicer than the couch in their mom's basement. Julie Anderson. Hi, bud. Hi, Julie. Good to have you here. Good to see you. Wealth building journey. Good to see you, my friend. Hope you're doing well. So yeah, so I think that, as the market, so kind of what we opened with is kind of what I want to, kind of close with is, as we see the market continue to shift, you will see it continue to shift. It's not going to stop shifting. It's going to get worse before it gets better. Most people that don't live in kind of like, I don't know, where places get snow, they have no idea how much our market changes starting in like September. So the way that most of this works is, in August is when a lot of the country, the warmer parts of the country, they go back to school. And so when you hit what happens up here in the colder parts of the country is our kids don't start school until the very beginning of September. When they do start school in the very beginning of September, guess what? No one's wanting to close on homes and do all this other stuff. October, it starts to get cold. And then November gets more cold. But then in November, now you have Thanksgiving. You have all the plans and travel and all that stuff. And now it's really starting to get very cold. Now you're getting into heating season, right? And people are like, oh, that broke and oh, this broke and blah, blah. That's why we do most of our heating work in July and August. We purposely do that because we don't want to have to do it in October, November. So that's one of the really interesting things is as we kind of, look at market shifts, you're going to see it accelerate because you're going to see the problems accelerate, but you're also going to see normal course life events happen. People don't understand in other parts of the country that selling units go in the toilet in November and December around here. It gets really cold. And then January and February, now you're in the dead of winter where we get, 0-degree temperatures. So that's Massachusetts, Vermont, Maine, New Hampshire, parts of New York, parts of Ohio, parts of Indiana, certainly Wisconsin, Minnesota, Montana, Wyoming, Idaho, some of those, just obliterated. Colorado, some of those areas become just absolutely obliterated. So that's where I think things are going to excel. Hopefully my timing's not wrong, but that first report comes out February. I think that report for Q4 comes out in February from the Fed, Federal Reserve Bank. So we'll see what those numbers end up looking like. A couple more questions came in. Kadia 14. I have 2 one-bedroom apartments, hopefully for Section 8 that have been vacant for months. I dropped the price recently, try to move in stipend. I'm going to delete, wait, relist at lower price. Any other thought? I look at your ad. Honestly, I'd look at your ad. Have you done a rent box? If you've done a rent box, you'll get a pretty good idea is how do you compare to all of your other competition, area, finishes, rent number. So the way that we do this, if you're in the course, the way that we do it is we do a rent box so we can properly assess the market and understand what your competition is, what that stuff looks like and how it compares to yours and the value price that you've assessed. Two is we absolutely rewrite the ad we take it off and we give it a week and then we absolutely rewrite the ad. And ideally we also look at getting some professional pictures, $150. So if you do that stuff, you will absolutely get wowed if you do that stuff, because you will see all of a sudden you'll see traffic. It takes so little to be better than average. And you can be in that top 10% of landlord that presents their units in the right way that will absolutely get you higher rents, but it will get you much less vacancy. My vacancy rate for years has been sub 1% for years and years. So that's what I would do, Kadia 14. Let me know if that helps. Nino. Is it normal for a first duplex owner occupancy to need a lot of work to get into investing? That is also a whole rabbit hole on what you should do yourself and hire out. Yeah, so I think that it can be. It depends on how expensive the area is. If you're buying a duplex in Gary, Indiana, where you can probably afford the down payment instead of going to McDonald's, then you'll be fine. It's a very small down payment. In my area, a fixer-upper duplex can be $450,000 to $500,000. A done duplex is $650,000, sometimes $700,000, depending on what the building is. So it's a way to do it, but it's always a way to get into a better asset is owner occupying it. You're going to get your best rate. You're going to get the most flexibility. You're going to be able to keep an eye on the, who the contractors that you used was good, or you can even hire the contractor and say, hire handyman and things like that and say, hey, I want to do the work with you and go with them through that process. That's a really valuable approach. I learned that way. I didn't self-teach. I self-taught some things out of necessity, but I watched plumbers, I watched electricians, and I wasn't putting electrical wires into panels, but I would wire outlets that weren't wired into a panel. I would do that. Sure. I would do all that stuff. And I could do that in a unit that I owned, that I lived in myself. Bill O'Connell. Hey, Bill. How do you handle the time when you have a rental up and found a prospective, but are waiting the time for credit check and background check? Do you tell the others it's pending? I do. It's first come, first serve. So for us, we will up front, we're asking for credit, we're asking for pay stubs, and we're asking for proof of payment to their previous landlord. That's what we're looking for. If they're on the, and then we just ask them the question. So we don't really do background checks anymore. We ask them the question, and we'll do a search, but we won't to see if they have a bunch of records that come up underneath them. But a lot of times we won't pay the money to look into those things. Because largely speaking, if you just have a bunch of them that are there, I can't say I won't rent to criminals, but I can say who I won't rent to. We actually had a double murderer that applied. The only way that we found out, because our parole officer got involved. And when the parole officer asked, I was just like, I talked to my attorneys and I said, I don't want to deny him based on being a convict or a felon, a convicted felon. I want to deny him based on the fact that he was convicted of double murder. That's why I want to convict him. So that's what I did. So I tell everybody, I say, hey, listen, apply. It's basically first come, first serve. So the cleaner checks come back faster in almost every case. But yeah, we don't do background checks. We want to make sure all the other stuff is in line. We will actually do a lookup on the person's name, but you can look at stuff like, what is it? Not Spokio, but there's other stuff out there that can show you if they're what records are out there. A background check certainly shouldn't take days and days and days, and not based on my experience. Matt, a county has a max unrelated occupancy limit. Are the numbers per unit in a building or per building? They're usually per, I've never seen them per building. I've only seen them per unit, but I would call and ask for clarification because that's not a road you want to go down. Also, how do you handle it if you are renting out to students where you have a 415? So how I handle it is they all sign the same lease. It's joint and several liability in my state. So I can take down one of them or I can take down all of them. They all get named in the suit, But usually what you'll find is before it actually goes to like a collections or something like that, the other 3 people that don't want it to go to collections will stand up and they'll pay whatever bill there is. Joint and several liability. Peer pressure can be used in our favor. Christopher Ramsey, ProPick doubled activity and applications. Gracias, senor. You're welcome. So for those of you who were just asking the questions earlier about, hey, should I get pro pictures? Should I rewrite my ad? Is there a science to rewriting the ad? The answer is, Christopher Ramsey says it perfectly. ProPix doubled the activity and the number of applications that they got on their unit. It gives you a bigger group of pool, a bigger tenant pool to choose from. Easy for me to say. It gives you a bigger tenant pool to choose from. And when you get that larger tenant pool to choose from, you're inevitably going to find more tenants that are better fit for you. The landlords that end up with the most trouble are ones that aren't getting nearly enough traffic flow. And there's something about your ad. There's something about the way you're advertising it. There's something about your pictures. That is your business card to the world. As a landlord, that is your business card to the world. You need to make sure that that thing looks as good as it possibly can look. And let's face it, professionals in different things like pictures, photographers, they're good at what they do. See their work previously. Know that, man, I'd click on that because you'll see it. You'll see the picture jump out at you. 150, 250 bucks. You keep the pictures. It's not one and done. You keep the pictures for years and years. That's what you do. Matt Wenner, any tips on how to do renovation updates if you don't have the liquidity to do them with your own cash on hand? When we ran into that problem, admittedly, we used credit cards, which is a horrible thing because then the economy went bad and we were literally paying off the minimums every single month for about 3 years. We got in big financial trouble because we got into a project and needed the money to be able to do it. And the only access that we had was credit. So I would recommend whatever you can possibly do, whether it's renting out rooms in your own apartment to another, a roommate. I would recommend, if you've got an expensive car and you have a big heavy payment there, I get rid of the payment and I get some, dumpy car that just gets me by. I live really frugally. I still drive an 06 Denali Yukon. That's it. That's what I drive. And it's not a nice car. It's nice enough. I like all the luxuries that it has, but it's not worth more than a few $1,000. So yeah. The other thing you can do too, is you can reach out and try and get hard money, but that's scary. How do you pay it back when you're done? Wealth building journey. The upper northern belt of the country, especially around all of the areas that have lake effect snow, that level of cold requires toughness. It certainly requires something, at least a winter jacket, a good winter jacket. Chris Huang. I'm considering retirement. How do you cover your medical expenses for your family and kids? I have health insurance. That's extremely expensive. It costs me about $3,000 a month out of pocket. $3,000 a month for health insurance. Yes, sir. Nino, yes, I remember when we talked last week a bit about it, how we are in the same area. Yep. Yeah, for sure. Mark Koch, hey, Lumberjack, your channel has been my new go-to on my daily drives to listen to. Been a landlord for 22 years. How do you handle pets, service animals, and your rentals, monthly fees, deposits? Mark, I really appreciate that. I'm always honored when people like my content. Always honored because it's just me. If you hate me and you hate my content, I mean, you don't need to be here, but I'm not everybody's taste. But Mark, I appreciate that you find some value in it. In our state, ESAs can't say no to them. We have to say yes. What we don't have to say no to is if they're like, oh, well, yeah, I have multiple pets. I don't have to say yes to multiple pets. I only have to say yes to the ESA. Multiple pets, I don't. I can still have a no pets policy and allow somebody to have an ESA. If they have a second dog, it needs to be an ESA for somebody else because with ESAs, you're only allowed one. That's my trick around it. And when I say trick, that's just the law. They lie and people are like, oh, yeah, that's my ESA dog. Okay, I'm going to need you to go through and get me the paperwork. Really? Yep, I really am. Yep, for sure. Yep, we just play it by the rules here. So get me the paperwork. Okay, I'll get you the paperwork. Then a lot of times they don't and they just fade away. Or sometimes they do and it's like, okay, great. Thank you for sending that over. That's great. Then if they're like, hey, I'd like to get another cat. Nope, sorry. Well, I already have one. Yep, that's an ESA. By law, I have to take that. Service animals, you have to take them no matter what. Service animals, you can't deny somebody a service animal. I would never do that. Not saying you would. But service animals, absolutely 100%. Has to be a service animal, which is different than an ESA. An ESA can be anything, and a service animal has actually gotten training So like people that have seizures, people that are partially blind, people that have, stroke issues. They are trained to sense that stuff and go behave a certain way. They're extremely expensive dogs because they've been very, very well trained. So yeah. Yep. But great question. Monthly fees, yes. Deposit, no. I don't require more from a deposit because I think in New Hampshire, I want to say that the law is that we can't require any more of a deposit than than a month's rent. So we do that, but I much rather have money that I don't have to get back. And so we will charge, 25, $50 a month for pets. Depends on the place. Because if we like just redid it, well, we have to charge a higher fee. If we didn't just redo it, then we'll charge a lower fee, but we still need to be able to charge a fee. Let's see. Chris Huang, have an asset for every expense. Dionism right there, have an asset for every single expense. We do have assets that produce that amount of cash flow. That was one of the things I had to make sure I had so if you don't know, my daughter was diagnosed with cancer. When she was 5 months old, she was given an 8% chance to live, only 4 months. We pray. We had 10,000 people praying for my daughter. She is okay now. She's 3 years old. She's the only child, except for the baby that you guys didn't see tonight on video. But she is, and she's an amazing, amazing girl. She'll be an amazing woman. And she's a fighter. But the insurance piece of it, we had to have amazing insurance because the state insurance that we have here doesn't allow for her to see her doctors. Well, that's obviously a non-starter. So it took me months to kind of work that out and find the right way for us to do that. So I did. I figured that out, got the right way for us to do it. So now we have access to all of our doctors. We have access to all of our coverage, and it's not anything that we have to worry about anymore. So it's big for us. So yeah, so the health insurance is huge, especially when you have kids. Like that, her treatment was into the millions. Her treatments for that time was well over $1 million. She had something, very, very expensive. Robert Finley, Bill O'Connell, watched this live stream. I just got a PhD level lecture on this earlier. In a nice way. Nice enough, Robert. Nice enough. Master Coach University. Our neighborhood is known as a termite magnet. All buildings on my street were recently tented, fumigated for drywood termites, including my triplex in 2021. Despite that, we still see signs of termite activity, but because we're lacking a bond, it'll cost $10K to tent fumigate and $1K per year to stay on bond. Wondering if it makes sense to pay that annual money for the bond. They just inspect annually and then acts as insurance. If we are reinfested, maybe better to self-insure. Yeah, that's complex. I mean, I think you have to look at all the numbers. One of the things I know Master Coach is really good at doing is looking at all the numbers. So I would look at all the numbers and look at the cost benefit analysis. And if you've seen that they tented all those places and they still came back, what's the likelihood that they still will come back? It's probably pretty high. So at that point, I would be looking at the numbers for what that likelihood of reoccurrence is, and I would be trying to mitigate that as much as possible. And I don't fully self-insure, right? Like we still leave room for the catastrophe. And when the catastrophe happens, I want to know that I'm covered. So what I mean by that is, for those of you who don't know, I insure with a $20,000 or $25,000 deductible on almost all my properties. And when I say almost all, I always say almost all because I'm not 100% sure it's all of them. I'm pretty sure it's all of them. I think there might be one property that we're not insured that way on, but it's $20,000 to $25,000 deductible. And that's because if a hurricane comes through in New Hampshire, or an earthquake more likely, but if an earthquake comes through in New Hampshire and it destroys 10 of my houses, I'm going to spend $200,000. But insuring myself the way that I am, my insurance payments are less than half of what everyone else's are, being at $1,000 or $2,000. That's my take. And I can probably repair a lot of these problems a lot faster than a lot of other people can as well. So Master Coach, I don't have a hard and fast answer for you, but I would point you back to, I would look at the numbers. I would look at the fact that if in the likelihood, and that it already reoccurred, that it would likely reoccur again. I think that's fairly safe to say. But I would talk to experts about that. And then when that is something that, whichever way you decide to go with, I would still be setting aside money as a just in case. I'd still be setting aside more money for sure. Yep. Let's see. Wealth building journey. Robert Farinelli. Hopefully everything is going well based on Frank's accountability call yesterday. I love that. Frank, old REI guy. Fantastic. Big part of what he's been in my boot camp twice, taking the course with he and his wife. Frank Contreras is fantastic. He's a contractor, has a wealth of knowledge, well connected with Dion and everybody else. But Frank is fantastic. He has an accountability group. I know that all the people that come out of the boot camp are able to get into that accountability group. I think he does that with Dion's course as well. But yeah, huge opportunity and fantastic to help. Chris Wong, what's the best option for medical? Have 2 kids under 3 years old and expecting another one next year. Our monthly cash flow is 7 to 8K a month. There's no shortcuts. You're going to be spending a significant amount of money on insurance. Look at what your employer pays. If you can't figure out a way to cover that easily, then you're not ready to retire. That's just the truth of it. We have a ton of cash flow. I have individual assets that throw off $3,000 a month. So I knew I would be fine. But that was one of the things that we spent almost a year getting ready for. So yeah, it's a great question for sure. Christopher Ramsey, drone fly-throughs are solid, gives great perspective on the property, worth it. Yeah, I agree with that too. And I think you can find drone folks for less money now as well. It used to be like that was like a $1,200 proposition. Now it's not. It's much less expensive. Much less expensive. Financial firefighter. Matt Wenner, I have 0 debt besides real estate and live modestly. Yep. I'll keep saving up money for renovations. I have 0% vacancy for the next 9 months. So just planning ahead for the rehabs, lower rates to refi. Yeah, I think that's great. I think you keep on building. I love that you have 0 debt besides real estate. That's awesome. Live modestly. Awesome. Keep on stacking that money and then you're ready for when they leave. But if you get in a pinch and you need something quickly, you can do like a signature loan for like a local bank or like a local credit union. They'll give you a signature loan for usually between $10,000 and $12,000. And that's usually credit based. It's not based on anything else. And so then you at least have a modest budget that you can then pay back over time. That's another option as well. And it's much less than a credit card. The other thing you can do too is like you can get a $0 credit card that's a zero. Look for the ones that are 0% for 18 months. Make sure that you have the numbers there to be able to pay that. I did that in the past. It worked out well. It's not my favorite strategy just because it still puts you at risk, technically speaking, but it is a strategy that I've used. Kadia 14, thanks. Been on fence, but interested in course. Admittedly, pacing budget with recent expenses. Completely understand. Will I get a lot from the base course? Can we ask questions of the course? Can boot camp be added later? So will you get a lot out of the base course? Group, you answer. I don't want to answer. You answer because I made the course because I believe it was a major value. You guys answer Kadia 14 on if she will get a lot out of the base course. Can you ask questions in the course? Yes, you can. There's an area where the entire community, you can ask the questions of the entire community and a bunch of people will answer and chime in. They answer based on what they've learned at boot camp. They based on what their experiences are. I answer some of those questions as well. Not all of them, but I answer some of those questions as well. So really strong. And then can the boot camp be added later? Yes, it can. No problem. Yep. No problem. Because we don't do boot camps every 90 days. We do boot camps a couple times a year because they're extensive for me. It's when we go and we go 2, 3, 4, we've had one boot camp class that lasted 5 hours, because we were in a topic and we needed to finish. So yeah, crazy. Lars Nielsen, Matt, I suspect that you have enough income and reserves. You'll be able to refinance next year as there will be pressure on the Fed after election, no matter what idiot wins the election. I know it is a warring group of idiots. So yeah, I have enough cash to refi. I want to sell some assets, and that's why I'm not refining this portfolio. So that's great. I'm not refining this portfolio. I'm keeping the same debt. I'm keeping the same structure. I'm just trying to get them to release a couple of the assets to me. That's what the goal is. Robert Farinelli, 2008 Prius owner now paid $9K, had 92,000 miles, great shape, ready to abuse, 65 cents per mile to 300,000. Versa CVT is barely functional engine, still misfiring bad after plugs and coils replaced. Sell it as a mechanic special. There's a mechanic out there that would love to buy that car, give you some money for that car, and then fix it up on their own. Don't be deceitful. Tell them exactly what's going on with it. But in all likelihood, you could get somebody that's pretty happy with that car and be thrilled. Spent 2.5 hours inspecting, test driving it. Part of that was the battery life test. It took forever. Yeah, no kidding. So true. Chris Wong, much love. Thanks, Matt. Glad your little one, is well now. Chris, congratulations to you. I love that you're looking at retirement. I never wanted to go back. So admittedly, I spent more time there getting all of this stuff worked out before I retired because I never wanted to go back. I talked to one of my business contacts today. He's like, so how is it? And I couldn't stop smiling through the whole conversation. He goes, I can tell you're smiling really big. I said, I am. I won't lie. I'm smiling pretty big. I love it. It's great. Mark Cook, my MHP has several folks renting offsite storage, and I was looking to bring that money to my side of the fence. $9,000 for a 20-foot container. Yep. Is partitioned out with individual doors. Feedback. Yeah, I mean, I like it. The only thing that, Mark, that you have to look at is zoning wise, if it's allowed where you're putting it. That's it. And then the only thing you want to consider on top of that is you want to make sure that when you give them that lease, I would look at some, in all honesty, here's what I would do. I would talk to some storage places and I would get a copy of their paperwork, because all of the disclaimers in there, and if something happens, it's your problem and blah, 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 blah. Even though you own that building, you want to eliminate the liability. So I like the idea. I actually looked at doing it myself. The problem is the one place that I wanted to put it, code doesn't allow for something of that size in that spot. Yeah. Oh, here come all the people rolling in with their input. All right. So Kadia 14, here's what we got. So Buzz Student said the ad writing alone is worth it in the course. Can take it multiple times and there's downloadable documents, but I did the boot camp later. It's essential, in my opinion, so much value. BuzzTune, thank you. Mikey, I appreciate you. That's very nice of you to say. Wealth Building Journey, the boot camps are amazing. Chester probably feels the course is less amazing because he took it 5 times or 4 times or 5 times. He still holds the record for the person who's taken the course the most times. But yeah, so he took it 5 times. So if I were in his shoes, I'd be tired of listening to me too. And then Robert Fairley, really, chapter 7 is worth its weight in gold. Thank you very much. I'm glad, Chester. And that's the thing too. There's 11 chapters in there, and it's amazing to me that we don't have a clear winner. It's really spread pretty evenly over the 12 or over the 11. The ad writing one gets a lot. The property management one gets a lot. There's a lot in there, and the student housing, that gets a decent amount. The documents, a lot of people like the documents, and it's not because they use the documents verbatim, but they'll utilize them to say, this is what I kind of want to do. And at least gives them a template with then what they can then do for their people. Sure. So last question, Robert Fairley, really cars worth 2,000 ish, but because of the CVT and engine, probably need $6,000 worth of work and has maybe 10,000 miles left. Best case. True story, maybe, but don't make that decision for other people. So my view is so long as you disclose it, that's all that matters. Because I want to disclose everything, but I want to make the decision for somebody else. Like there's a lot of people that make the decision like, oh, my building's a piece of crap, I just want to sell it. And one man's trash is another man's treasure. You might find a mechanic out there that says, maybe it's a Nissan mechanic and they're used to working on the CVT. And they say, yeah, I can do this thing in my sleep. I can repair it and I can get the engine to stop misfiring. It's going to take me a week or two of working after I get home from the garage at night, but then I'm going to be able to give my daughter a car. Or even better, I'm going to be able to use this car because mine won't pass because of rust. All of those things are options. So keep that in mind. Wealth Building Journey, the whole course. Wealth Building Journey says the whole course is elite, plain and simple, more than well worth it. Chester, honored. I appreciate that. I spent 23 years becoming an elite asset manager, property manager, landlord, real estate investor, acquirer, rehabber, you name it. It's taken me over 20 years. And that's what the course is it's 20 years of experience that you're getting. So, if you look at it that way, it's, less than $50 for a year's worth of lessons. $50 for less than a year for less than $50 a year for a year's worth of lessons. Mark just rented another 8x16 tiny home today for $900 a month. I had over 30 applicants. That's awesome. Mark, what market are you in? If you don't mind me asking, I will hang out for that last answer. But I hope you guys had an absolutely fantastic time. I know I did. What's really funny is right when I came downstairs and started this, I was like, I haven't eaten dinner. Not that I really need the food, but I kind of need the food because now I got one of those absolutely pounding food headaches. But Knoxville, Tennessee, I love it. Yeah, that's awesome. Mark, when you found a model like that, keep on doing it, dude. Mark has done a great job. I don't know Mark, but yeah, absolutely. Knoxville, Tennessee. Yes, sir. Mark has done an amazing job. I don't know Mark, but when you find a model and you tap into a model that works and you're seeing the numbers, don't get crazy with it, but be considerate and try to, certainly based on what he's talking about, he can rent out for $900 a month. What do those tiny homes cost you again? Don't they cost you like 20 or 30 grand or something? Wealth building journey. Kadia. Thanks for your thoughts, all your advice. Kadia 14. I'm here for you whether you buy the course or not. I'm here for you whether you buy the course or not. Period. End of story. 21K all in on the unit. Yeah, Mark, like you're printing money, dude. You're printing money. $21,000 all in on the unit because you can put it on existing land, but $21,000 all in, and you're doing $10,800 a year in income. Yep. So each month you're going to be deploying more of them faster. It's amazing. Well, Keith Hager, smash the like button. Couldn't agree more, Keith Hager. Smash that like button on your way out, folks. Always a great time spending time with you guys on Thursday nights. We will continue to do this 9 to 11 for all the newbies that came in and joined the class. So fun to have you guys. I'm so glad you asked questions. This is a mock-free environment. I want to answer your guys' questions and make sure you feel more confident about taking that next step. A lot of landlording and a lot of the processes that we've been through and that I've gone through over the last 20 plus years, that's experience I want to be able to share with you guys. We'll never get rid of these free sessions where you guys get to spend that, where we get to spend that time together. I get to answer your questions. I consider it an honor and a privilege to be part of your journey. I'm super excited at all that the market has to hold for us over the next couple of years. I think it's going to be some pretty amazing opportunity in the market over the next couple of years, and I'm looking forward to that and going along on that journey with you guys. As I always say, I try and create great content for you. Please make sure you hit that like button on the way out, and to everybody for coming and hanging out with me for almost 2 hours. I appreciate you. I hope you have a great night, and take care, everybody. Bye now.